Okafor points towards the compound gate, ordering Mgbeke to leave. Mgbeke's eyes filled with tears as she pleads for him to believe her innocence. Okafor struggles emotionally, his anger overcoming his love. Okafor grabs Mgbeke's wrist firmly. He begins dragging her toward the entrance of the compound. Emotions escalate, and the argument becomes increasingly intense. Okafor continues pulling Mgbeke toward the gate, while dragging Mgbeke toward the entrance. A wooden pestle lies unnoticed on the ground. Okafor's foot lands on the pestle. His body loses balance. Mgbeke reaches out instinctively to stop him. Okafor falls backward. The back of his head strikes the sharp edge of a large grinding stone. He dies instantly, leaving Mgbeke in complete shock. Mgbeke screams in horror. Mgbeke kneels beside Okafor's body. She gently lifts his head into her lap. Her trembling hands become stained with blood. She cries uncontrollably, calling his name. Neighbors rush into the compound after hearing her screams. The villagers freeze in shock at the sight before them. The lifeless body of Okafor lies between the grieving Mgbeke and the gathering crowd. The Iwe chiefs, palace guards, walk quickly toward Okafor's compound. The procession moves through the village with urgency. The palace guards open the entrance into the compound. Everyone stops upon seeing Okafor's body. The Igwe's face shows disbelief. Chief Ofebu silently examines the scene. The elders find Okafor dead and Mgbeke beside him. Chief Ofebu kneels beside the body. He notices blood on Mgbeke's wrapper and hands. The elders exchange suspicious glances. Mgbeke desperately tries to explain the accident. The villagers begin whispering among themselves. The crowd slowly turns against her. Without investigating the circumstances, suspicion immediately falls upon her. Nnanna steps confidently into the center of the crowd. He repeats his first accusation. Several villagers nod in agreement. An angry villager points accusingly at her. The crowd begins shouting that she killed her husband. Mgbeke appears alone and surrounded by hostile faces. Influenced by Nnanna's words and the appearance of the scene, many villagers conclude that Mgbeke murdered her husband after being exposed for adultery. The palace country yard is filled with villagers gathered for judgment. Mgbeke is brought before the Iwe with her hands tied. The Iwe questions her. She repeatedly proclaims her innocence and explains how her husband accidentally fell. But her voice is drowned out by the growing anger of the villagers. Nnanna boldly repeats his fabricated story. The chiefs deliberate among themselves. The villagers demand punishment. The atmosphere becomes tense and hostile. An elderly woman steps forward to plead for a proper investigation. She appeals to the king's sense of justice. Several villagers dismisses her concerns. The Igwe raises his royal staff, his face solemn as he delivers the sentence. Ignoring the plea of the elderly woman who asks for a proper investigation, the king pronounces Mgbeke guilty and sentences her to be buried alive before sunset. Mgbeke quietly closes her eyes. The crowd erupts with mixed reactions, some cheering, others weeping. The sacred grove lies beneath towering ancient trees. Palace guards escort Mgbeke towards the burial site. The villagers follow in silence behind her. Mgbeke looks up towards the sky in prayer. Escorted by guards and surrounded by villagers, Mgbeke walks to the sacred burial ground. She remains calm despite her fear, praying silently as the crowd follows. Some women cry quietly as she passes. A young child watches in confusion, sensing the injustice. The deep burial pit comes into view. The sacred grove is silenced as Mgbeke stands behind the open pit. Guards lowered her slowly into the grave. Mgbeke raises both hands toward heaven. She declares her innocence and begins pronouncing the curse. Tears stream down her face as she speaks her final words. Hands throw the first handful of earth into the pit. Dark clouds suddenly gather over the sacred grove. The villagers look around in fear. Lightning flashes across the sky. Thunder roars, and trees sway violently as the curse takes effect.